We're out here today along the Mississippi River bottom looking at a number of fields, and the reason we came clear out here in the Lauderdale County is to really take a look at the Palmer amaranth we have in these fields. They've proven over a long period of time to, especially in this area, to develop resistance to herbicides quicker than they do in other parts of the state. And one of the things they really come up with here recently was resistance not only to glyphosate or Roundup, but also to another class of herbicides called the PPOs. Most notably, you all know them as Flexstar and Cobra and Blazer. And it just so happens in this particular part of the world here, we've developed pigweed that doesn't have just one gene for resistance to those class of herbicides like Flexstar, but at least 3 genes. And the reason I brought you out here today is they do have a characteristic symptom to them that you can see in your field if you were to go out and say spray a Flexstar or a Cobra or a Blazer. That really shows up and really identifies them as having that resistance. And what you want to look for is really within 4 or 5 days after you spray it, the top of the leaves become mottled and new growth comes right out of the top and it never checks up growing. And you'll very readily see that on a lot of these plants here today. So, and this is very characteristic of the symptoms you see. Now these pigweeds were sprayed when they were 2 inches tall 2 weeks ago, and they've since grown 8 to 10 inches since then in the last 2 weeks. So, and the symptomology just works its way up the plant. You get this kind of mottling of the leaf, and the new growth comes right out of the top, stays green, and it never really checks up growing. As it progresses though, you'll start to see the mottling even work its way up the plant. But that's real characteristic of the PPO resistant gene. And even though this has been sprayed 2 weeks ago when they were 2 inches tall, you can see it still showing up on them today as they mature and go through the field. If you have this resistance, unfortunately Flexstar no longer works, Blazer no longer works, Cobra no longer works, Roundup no longer works. We've got to really change our system, really leaning on other herbicides, whether it's Liberty Link or perhaps the new Extend or Enlist systems that are coming out, giving tolerance to dicamba and 2,4-D, and into Liberty. We're going to have to move to those. Plus, again, we got to do things we can't pour out of a jug. One of the things we're really adapting here, of course, is cover crops. And getting those also integrated into a system with herbicides is really going to be the only long-term sustainable solution to managing Palmer amaranth.